This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now.
It's a new year
and a new season.
24/7 Buff Fandemonium isn't just a page.
It's a family.
a passionate group of positive Buffalo football fans
who embrace the character and fight of this team.
We strive to embody this passion
and present a fan-first perspective
without all the fluff.
Enter
the K-Gun Report.
Season 2.
The first season was exciting for 24/7 Buff Fandemonium.
Talking football, connecting with fans, and having quality conversation.
This season we're stepping it up, and we want you all to come be a part of the conversation.
On March 9th, 2021,
the K-Gun Report
is back.
Let's go, Buffalo!
This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bills fans, welcome to 24/7 Buff Pandemonium presents the K-Gun Report, Season 2, Episode 40. Holy schmoly. Wow. I'm Jarrod. Joining me tonight, we have Scott, 24/7 BF.
Hey, yeah.
Swank, 24/7 BF.
Yo.
And where are you on this screen? On the bottom over there, we have Mr. number 55, retired Buffalo Bills linebacker, Mark Maddox.
Good to be here, guys. Good to be here.
Right from the top this time. I love it.
Right from the top this time. So we've had Mark on a couple weeks ago. We talked about football and the Help One Foundation. Mark, let everybody know what's going on with the Help One Foundation now and maybe coming up in the next couple months or so.
Okay. Glad you asked. Right now, what we're doing is we're doing a Christmas drive. We're doing Christmas for low-income families that have a child with special needs. So we're going to get toys, some clothes, and shoes for the child with special needs and their siblings. Okay. Cool. And I expanded it this year, and I think we're going to we're in a point where we might be a little over our head, but I'm going to get it done one way or another. Right. We have kids in Arizona that we're going to be shopping for. We have kids in Buffalo that we're going to be shopping for. Kids in Rochester that we're going to be shopping for. We have kids in South Carolina that we're going to be shopping for. Wow. We have kids in Florida that we're going to be shopping for. And I don't know if we're going to get the kids from Pennsylvania because we didn't get the list from them as of yesterday. So, but we have at least five different places or states where we're actually getting stuff for kids and doing it. I've created an Amazon wish list for each state of where those kids are, and people can order off our Amazon wish list. And once they go to that wish list, the toys and clothing and whatever they order off of that will go directly to one of my helpers. And because I have the group Mafia Nation, Bills Mafia Nation, I find the people in there. So I have people in there who are part of the room that are doing it in their area on behalf of Help One Foundation. So we're trying to work in areas where we have Mafia members. Yeah. And so we want to do it where we have Mafia members. And like I said, I want to grow this foundation to where when we do our book drive, that will be our next thing after Christmas. When we do our book drive will be done. And if we got a Mafia person in New Mexico, we're doing it in New Mexico. If we got one in Utah, we're doing it in Utah. If we got one in Idaho, we're doing it in Idaho, where we're giving books to these kids to start their own in-home library. So, so that's what we're doing, and that's what we're trying to grow towards right now.
I mean, Mark, you said you may be in over your head. Sometimes you don't know how far you can take something until you tempt that. And, and you have to because you don't want to get stagnant. You want to keep growing and growing and growing. Yep. So sometimes you gotta challenge yourself, and only good can come of it for sure. Yeah.
Last year we did 30. It was like almost 30 kids, and we've doubled that this year. We're up over 60 kids, and awesome. And like I said, we got the Mafia behind us, and we're gonna get it done. If not, I'm gonna get it done because we're gonna make sure these kids, have a decent Christmas or something that they can be happy and excited about.
All right. Mark, you said you had helpers. Are they elves? Do they have pointy ears, or are they just,
I think they do kind of have pointy ears. I have so many wonderful people around me, especially through the Mafia, that are willing to help me and helped me see my vision through, which is very humbling. It's very rewarding to know that you have people who believe in you and what you're trying to do, and joining in that to create that sense of accomplishment, that sense of doing good, spreading it out amongst not ourselves, but amongst other people, and feeling good about doing something to help someone at a point in time when they can't do it themselves. So, it's like one of the people that I have here, the lady, her child, she has 2 kids, but they're not homeless. They're not, no special needs, but left a very domestic abuse relationship, homeless, was living on the streets. They finally got into a shelter, and, they don't have anything, nothing. Kids have nothing. They have nothing. And they were recommended to me through my buddy here, where I get a lot of my kids from. And I'm like, yep, let her know. I'll contact her. We'll find out. We'll get them on, and we'll make sure that she's able to have Christmas. And I even told her, because I talked to her before Thanksgiving and asked her how their Thanksgiving was, or what they were doing for Thanksgiving. Because if they didn't, I would have invited them to my house, or said, if you want to make dinner, I will go get you food, whatever you need to make for you and your kids, or whatever you want to make. But they did have someone else who had offered them that, and they were going that route. But we're still in contact and stuff like that. So
Very cool.
That's amazing.
So I know, just looking at the comments here, we have a pretty good amount making comments. You have obviously Shout for a Cause Inc., all the super fans. Buffalo Spartan said he would help. The Lady Bills said they would help. They're in the Buffalo area. Lady Bills is actually in
Albany?
Yeah, right. So they're there to help.
Oh yeah, heck yeah. And also, guys, those are following the 24/7 Buff Pandemonium page. Have pinned to the top information about the show going on right now. But also, there's a link to donate to the Help One Foundation. Any amount helps, and especially share the crap out of it, because as we always say, awareness is half the battle. So donate.
let me ask you this. Would it be okay if I gave you guys the wish list links? Because what we're also doing is we have 12 items, from Josh Allen signed jersey to Cornelius Bennett mini helmet, Tremaine Edmonds mini helmet, a Knox mini helmet, more jerseys. But we have a list of 12 things, and we're going to, if you buy one gift, we're going to put you in for X amount of entries. If you buy two, it's more. If you bought three, then it's going to be 25 entries, and we're going to raffle that stuff off. And then I said, if we are able to clear most of that list, I'm going to throw in one of my Maddox jerseys, and I'm going to throw in an autographed Thurman Thomas helmet.
Oh, awesome.
And so,
send it our way, man. Yep. We'll help you out.
If we can get people to purchase stuff off of that wish list, that would be awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
And so,
after
the show, I'll get you guys. After the show, I'll get you guys the wish list, because, like I said, and it's set up for each state. So if you order for Buffalo area, that's going to go to one of my Mafia members named Julie Smith. And in Buffalo, Julie Smith, Julie Pezzamenti, and Diane Marie, they're going to get together, get everything together, and then distribute it to the kids in that area. And in Rochester, Brittany's in Rochester, so it's going to go to Brittany. South Carolina is going to go to Brenda. In Florida is going to go to Sarah. So we have it set up so we can get it done, and we can put some smiles in different areas.
Oh, heck yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome, yeah.
For sure.
That's quite the network you got, Mark.
Remembering all those names is pretty impressive. I would have had what's her name? And there's
Elf number 1, Elf number 2.
All right, Phantom. We have Josh Cook here, Dennis Alexander, Buffalo Spartan, Lady Bills. Let's go with Brent Thomason. I don't know if you guys saw his comment, but he said go Patriots for some reason.
Brent's he's having a bad week, all right, because which he shouldn't, because for our Ryan Hickman giveaway, he won the grand prize Josh Allen signed jersey, so he should be at least a little higher. But that was a rough one to watch last night, that's for sure.
Yep. Swank's talking about that 14-10 loss to the New England Patriots last night on the Monday night game, where the weather was a little bit crazy, and game schemes were a little crazy until the second half when things started to develop, and you're like, why didn't they start this before? But we'll get right into it. How about that? Swank!
What's up?
I'm going to let you lead the way, buddy. Good, bad, ugly. What do you think about that Patriots game? I'm going to take this off because I'm hot.
All right.
There we go.
Man, I know we're going to talk about this for a while, and it's such an honor to have you back, Mark, to go through this. I'm sorry it's not under better circumstances, but hopefully we can raise a bunch of money and do good things. I'll start with my good. That defense held their own, man, and it was crazy. And you knew what Belichick was going to do. It was kind of written right out there. They weren't going to throw the ball. They definitely weren't going to throw it while the wind was in their face, and they were going to try and run it and control the line of scrimmage. And I'd say 14 points for that kind of game, really digging it out. I'm proud of our defense. I'm especially proud of the fourth quarter adjustments, right when you thought that things were going to start to sink. And then whoever did that pep talk on the sideline and told Milano to start shooting those gaps, I love them forever. I want to think it's McDermott, but when he started coming across and popping guys, I was like, there is hope. It's there. So I'm going to say the defensive performance, I think Dane Jackson held his own too. He had a good showing for what it was and being thrown to the wolves like that. So that's my good. My bad, I'm going to have to give my bad. Well, the ugly is going to be who you think it is. The bad right now is execution on some of those plays. I wish that Josh would have been a little more accurate, he would have went through his reads a little better. That he missed Diggs on a couple wide open plays. That pass to Bees at the end. I know it was windy, but I think that he thought he was cutting out when he was cutting in. He just doesn't seem settled, and or at times at least. And I know, like I said, the win's a big deal, but I think we need to execute some of these plays. I think the offensive line also needs to execute some plays and get a little more consistent. My ugly is going to be the play calling.
Are you sitting down, Mark and Jarrod? Are you sitting down?
The play calling by Mr. Dable is what is really got me going. And I don't understand activating Moss and then repeatedly trying to prove a point by running Motor up the gut. And I love Motor, and I think that he's a productive player. I don't get, once you start to get that momentum and you pick up 5 yards here or there, and then you dump it right up the gut with Motor, and it's a 2-yard gain. And it was a 2-yard gain, and it was a 1-yard gain. Please tell me that the ex-professional football player has the same point as me. I'll be a happy man.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, it's like banging your head against the wall, and I get wanting to assert your dominance and show that you can win in the trenches. I get that. It wasn't working. It didn't work in the first quarter. It didn't work the whole game. So what you need to do for me, and I was texting these guys saying, where's the jet sweep? Where's the end arounds? Where's the reverses? Where's the toss out? Where is the creativity? Because it seems like you either get good Dable or bad Dable. I think that it's super frustrating that each week you have to not only worry about the opponent, but you have to worry about what kind of game plan is going to be called by a guy who, honestly, to me, it's just been too back and forth, man. Like, you just don't know what you're going to get with him. When the announcer said in the fourth quarter, somebody on that sideline, either Dable or McDermott, must have grabbed Josh Allen and told him, you got to take control of this game and you got to move that ball and you have to win this game. They should have told him that in the first quarter. They should have put it on his back. When he was throwing into the wind, he was still completing passes. He was getting a spark. Steph Diggs with that toe tap on the side. These are momentum builders that could have led them all the way down and win this game. The kid can do it. It's not too big for him. It's just, it seems like there's this push-pull, and it's frustrating, man. So for me, Dable is ugly. I know there's a lot of people that are going to be like, oh, everybody blames him. It's time, I think, that he has to wear some of the blame. And that's
you kept that very clean, Swank.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Mark lifted up his piece of paper, so I think he has some, agrees with you in some sorts. Mark, what was your good, bad, and ugly?
You know what? My good from the game was it was a great team effort. For me, it was a great team effort because, in reality, the game should have been a victory. The elements played a big factor into that. Okay, so that missed field goal was the pivotal point in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my good is I feel all around good about the offense, about the defense, and just what happened in the game. But if you ask me my ugly is kind of it's kind of the same thing. It's how we played on defense. We played great on defense where we held them, but we made way too many mistakes on defense. What I did was I charted the offense, all their plays, run plays, pass plays, yards, penalties, and charted everything. And the main thing that I look at is what is the bull doing? Is he running base or is he pulling the lineman? I told you guys last time, when our linemen are on the move, they're successful. Mm-hmm. Okay. We had 19 runs, not including quarterback scrambles. I think that was like 59 yards that we ended up having. Okay. On base plays, we averaged like 3.5, 3.6 yards. And the only reason we averaged that was because of the one long run that Singletary got of 17 yards. Mm-hmm. Okay. Other than that, it would have been lower than that. Okay. If you take that away, but we're not. So, and then in the first half, it was, I forgot how many runs were in the first half, but in the first half, there was only 3 pulling plays where the lineman pulled 3 times. Only 3. And we only averaged 3 yards a carry, per carry, because one was 2 yards, one was 3 yards, one was 4 yards. Okay, so we only averaged 3 yards per carry. But that was in the first half. We pulled 3 times. In the second half, 0. Okay, right. Base blocking from just either a stretch play, a dive play, or a zone play. That's it. That's all it was base blocking. It was the very last drive that Singletary got that 17 yards. So if you're going to pull your lineman, it's going to be the same thing. So like when you say ugly with the bowl, I say the same thing. And because it's very frustrating to watch a team with so much talent, but with so little in play selection. Okay. Our play selection was so limited in that game. And you talked about the one pass to Beasley where Josh had threw it. It looked like it was good, but that wind is crazy. Mm. That you may think something is one way and all of a sudden it's not that way. That's why I said, I wonder where did they practice this week? Did they practice outside or did they practice inside?
It was windy all week.
With Marv Levy, you play in the elements, you practice in the elements. Mm. Plain and simple. The only way we practice inside the little bubble that we had is there had to be a blizzard outside.
I love that you call it the little bubble.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was a little bubble. And, awesome. Compared to the field house they got now, it's like a luxury suite, compared to
everybody had to duck to get in the bubble.
Yeah. And so,
don't let the air out.
It's one of those things. So, and like with my ugly with the defense is that I understand they're going to run the ball, but you still can't crowd the line of scrimmage because when you crowd the line of scrimmage with 10 guys, it's so easy to block 2 guys with 1 guy because you're getting cut off. You're not coming downhill. You're moving more lateral. And when you're moving lateral and one lineman gets someone blocked and they get into you, that one lineman just blocked 2 guys. Mm-hmm. So it's not productive. I would have liked to see our linebackers line up at 4 yards and everything was downhill. Our DBs about 7 to 8 yards, except for our free safety who was playing a little bit deeper, who was never in the picture. And that gives those guys an opportunity to come downhill. And when you're coming downhill, you can make things happen and you're not going to get tripped up and it's going to be easier to see and read in the cut either one way or the other way. And I graded Trey Edmonds the first half and Milano the second half. That adjustment of pulling when that guard pulls to shoot behind, that should have been made in the first half.
Right.
That shouldn't have been made in the last series of the fourth quarter.
Right.
As a coach,
Yep.
you need to see what's going on. These coaches get printouts after every single play, and they don't get just one. They get multiple. They get pre-snap. They get snap. They get after the snap, and they get the end of the play. They get at least 4 pictures for one play. Okay, at least 4 to look at. You can see. My thing is, Edmonds has so much speed. He can cover sideline to sideline with any back in the league, and he can go toe-to-toe with any back in the league. What I felt in that first half, just watching him, overruns everybody.
Yeah,
He's
he
trying
overruns.
to outrun the back to the point. He's trying to beat the back to the point instead of getting physical with that offensive lineman, driving him back, controlling that spot, and controlling his gap. And we lost our gap integrity. We'll get into that later. But that's my good, my bad, and then I'll explain that stuff later. So we can get Scott.
Yeah, but when you do the linebacker thing too, when you're not all jammed in with one another, visual, you're able to see more things because your peripherals aren't blocked and you're not all jammed up. So, yeah.
Mark, I got a question for you real quick. I know the Bills have tampered with the 46 defense every once in a while. You know, we see it every once in a while. And with how big the tight end, how good the blocking tight ends were for hold on. Did I lose anybody?
No, you're good now.
No, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, these. Oh, there we go. My screen just with how, you know, they showed up with 21 personnel all the time. They had a lot of tight ends out there. Would a 5-2 defense? Now, when we think about Dodson being in there as a third linebacker, with a 5-2 defense, is our 5th defensive lineman better than Dodson would have been at the third linebacker? You know what I'm saying? Do you think a 5-2 defense would have been something they could have ran it, but it would have been more effective against the run rather than the 4-3?
I really don't, because that's something that you have to run all the time. And here's the thing. When you start doing that, okay, it might have forced their hand to try to throw the ball a little bit more. But when you put an extra lineman in the game, you got to take off a linebacker or you got to take out a corner or a DB. Okay. Mm-hmm. And do you want to take speed off the field or keep speed on the field?
Right.
Okay. So when they're getting closer to the red zone, I can see doing that because now you condense the field. That speed's not going to be too much more of a factor. Okay. Then it's going to really, break down that running. It can break down the running game. But as you can see in the game, like I said, when we overrun someone and they're only 3 yards past the line of scrimmage and there's no one deep, there's no one behind those 10 guys. And if that safety's coming from inside out, he's never going to get there. And if he sees run and he's running down, it all becomes in that 4-3 gap integrity. And that's what really pissed me off as a linebacker. I didn't see the gap integrity. Okay. I seen Tremaine Edmonds go up and use a shoulder to get in front of the guy. Where's your gap? Is your gap here or is your gap there? Because when he did that, the back cut up inside, and I'm just like, oh my God.
There he goes.
Yeah. And instead of going, when that lineman's pulling, I'm telling you right now, when I see the lineman pulling, and that was my lineman that was pulling, I'm going to hit him in the ear hole before he gets a chance to turn up. And when I hit him in his ear hole, I'm going to lock out, extend here, and that way, if the guy cuts back, I can go underneath. If he cuts forward, I can go forward, front side. But I still knew where my gap was, and I had my gap integrity. I didn't give myself up by getting in front of him, by dipping and ripping, because I know the back's trying to get outside. The back's trying to get outside, but guess what? The back wasn't outside. Mm-hmm. He ran straight down the hashes.
Yeah, right.
On that 64-yard run.
Yeah, that was a big flow. Everybody was flowing past it.
Yeah.
Even Micah Hyde went a little bit
Edmonds was the guy that I saw there just pushed right down by the side, and that's when
it was like that. It was like that. When you watched any of those plays with N'Keal Harry lined up tight and you knew they were going to be running a sweep or anything outside, the back never got – how many times did the back run to the sideline?
He didn't.
He didn't, because everybody was overrunning. And that's where that gap integrity comes in. So whether you got 5 linemen or 4 linemen, it doesn't do anything. But then it comes down to where are you going to move that center, and how are you now going to play your front five as compared to, your front four? You want to stick with your base defense. Your base defense is what got you there. The only time you really go into your 5 linemen is in goal line, when it's more of 32 personnel with, 3 tight ends and 2 backs, or 22 personnel, 2 tight ends, 2 backs, and 1 receiver. That's when you really get into those types of defenses, because that's what they're geared for. And they're geared for the offensive personnel compared to what your whatchamacallit is. But when they got 2 receivers and they got 21 personnel in, that's not a good time to have 5 defensive linemen in there.
Thank you for that. That's nice education right there.
Mm-hmm. I'll play that one back a couple of times. So, Scott, you have anything to add to the good, bad, and ugly?
Good. I think you guys hit a lot of the good. I thought the defense did good. Other than a touchdown they gave up, it was a 64-yard run. And again, it was because of a gap integrity thing. It was something that can be fixed, you hope. It's just a fluke play. You take away that run, and they only averaged 3.4 yards a carry, and the Bills did a good job against it. The bad, I thought, was I'll go along with Swank and say the execution. You get the ball inside the 23 times and you don't put any points on the board. That's huge. You get a first down and 6, a first and goal at the 6-yard line, and you go spread offense, Dable. Where's the run up the middle there? That's just I think the execution. And I'm saying this in regards to when you get the ball inside the 20, you should be at least putting a couple points on the board. I thought that was we got to take care of opportunities. Our only touchdown that we scored was a muffed punt that we got the ball at the 14-yard line. That was our only touchdown.
Yeah.
Other than that, we could drive, but we just stall, penalties, something would happen. And it's frustrating to watch. But that was definitely, I'm going to say that's the bad and the ugly. You said enough about Dable. I don't agree with those runs up the middle with 200-pound Singletary, a little guy. I don't agree with
the field wasn't snowy or slippery either. It was just wind, right? Wind, maybe a little bit slick. So where was Breida?
Well, what I saw with the stretch plays and all that stuff is. Oh, go ahead. You're about to talk about how Breida's running back.
Fumbling the ball.
The one ball, yeah, he fumbled the ball, right?
And that's his knock is the fumbles. And if you listen, like the commentators, sometimes they do give some good points and stuff like that.
Sometimes, yes.
Exactly. Did you hear how I forgot who the back was for New England, but
Harris.
I think it might have been where he had fumbled. He sat the next 3 games.
Stevenson.
He sat the next 3 games.
Yeah.
On the bench and didn't play. And he gets back in, and I think he fumbled again. He sat again. It's one of those things where it's about with Belichick. It's about accountability, and you need to be accountable for what goes on. And I think that's the only knock on Breida is that he's given up a fumble every game he's been in.
Yep. Right. Yeah.
Every game. So when he came back the first game and everybody was talking about him, some great runs, fumble. You can't have that. Turnovers are the quickest way to lose a game is turning the ball over.
That's the Buffalo Bills.
That turnover led to points.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the only set of points, like if they didn't
score
those
touchdown.
Points, it's the only touchdown they scored. Yeah.
Yep.
So, he also touched that ball on the kick return. It bounced into the back of the end zone, but he didn't field that cleanly. He touched it and it rolled out the back. So, he didn't turn the ball over. But if there was somebody quicker down there that could have jumped on that thing, it wouldn't have been our ball.
Yeah.
So, that's a little concerning for sure.
Yeah.
It just the bad play calls by Dell. I just want to add a little bit to it, Swank.
I knew you wouldn't be able to resist.
When you're inside the 20, I just don't get where the effective plays from last year are. Those jet sweeps, those called. If you're going to call a quarterback keeper with Josh Allen, that's where you do it. It's just missing plays. He's not doing things that worked last year and have worked this year, and there's just a lot missing from his repertoire as far as playbook. You think Josh Allen would be able to handle calling some of these more difficult plays to run?
He's in year 4, and he just got a huge contract extension. He can handle these plays. Look at the stuff that Dable's flashed, right? And even in some of these losses that he's flashed, the Houston playoff game, right, with the flea flicker back, and then the wide receiver throwing it to the throwing it to Josh Allen for a touchdown. He flashes like this crazy creative greatness. You're playing one of the best football minds in the game, maybe ever to play or coach the game, right? and you're just being so damn predictable. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, it's and what you, it's like I said, is like there's no diversity in the playbook. Okay, this is just my opinion. Okay, I think about this here, and I think about the game last year that they played at home against them. I think we had a heck of a running day that day against New England at home last year, and it was more sweeps, more counters, more traps, more pulling plays, and we were just gashing them. And it was to the point where it kind of seemed like it pissed me off because it was always to the left. It was always to the left. It was always to the left, all those plays. But they were getting successful. I didn't see us try any of that stuff from last year of plays that were successful against the defense that they actually played. Okay? And that's what when I look at the games and look at stuff, I want to know what's successful. I want to know what was successful last year. You know that they know that they're going to practice it because you did it last year.
Mm-hmm.
You know that. But you have to stop us. And until you stop us, I'm going to do it. Okay? And when you guys talk about creativity and the jet sweeps and those types of things, I don't think the field would have hindered any of those types of plays. It just came down to that I felt that there was no creativity in play calling as far as what was being called. Josh has a powerful arm. He threw the ball into the wind. He threw the ball with the wind. Okay? He could do both. Okay? It comes down to game plan. Game plan, game plan, game plan. I felt that when it came down to game plan, Belichick's game plan was better than our game plan. He knew what the elements were going to be like, and he said, we're going to run the ball, and they're going to have to stop us. Okay? They ran the ball, and granted they got 200 yards. We pretty much stopped them because that's all they did. Okay? If you run the ball, 50 times in a game, and you're lucky to average 3 yards, you're going to be at 150 yards at the end of the game, rushing yards.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, you pop off one of 60, you're at 210 yards rushing. Okay,
Bang, just like that.
So just like that. So don't say that it was a good game plan, but they just broke a play.
Yeah.
Okay, but it was, we want the win. When we don't have the win, we're going to run the ball. We're going to control the clock. When we control the clock's going to go down. Time, if it's a close game, we're going to be in it. Okay? And that's what it's about. And I just felt that clock management or clock strategy and game strategy was a plus to Belichick. Okay? And that's the reason we were in the situation that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't have had the pass because we should have been able to do running plays. We didn't mix it up at all.
Mm-mm.
We don't have the linemen that are going to blow guys off the line of scrimmage. Okay? We don't have that. So let's just play our offense. Look at back when I was back there, when you got, you had some beast. Okay? You got Kent Hall and Howard Ballard, Will Wolford, who else was in there? Jimmy Richter. And Glenn Parker, okay? You got guys who are beasts that can drive people off the ball. But the other thing that those guys had, they had great feet for guys their size.
Mm-hmm.
They had unbelievable feet for guys their size. Look at all the plays that we would run. We run tosses. We run sweeps. We run counters. We run traps with Thurman right up the middle. I haven't seen a trap play yet.
Right, yeah, with the...
Just down block Goo and get the linebacker. Boom. If you run that right and successful, but of course we're in gun defense or in a gun all the time, makes it kind of hard, because there's no misdirection. The guys don't know what's going on. They can't see where the ball is. Is he going to hand it off as he's pivoting out? How is he pivoting? Is he doing a 180? Is he doing 360? You could run, if you run a trap and a trap is hit right, you're going to get a minimum of 4 yards, because by the time he gets the ball, the center's blocked back. You got the other guy coming around to kick out, and the linebacker has to either fill that hole, but he's usually getting cut off by the backside guard, and boom, you're going to get 4 yards. But we don't see that. We don't see those types of runs,
Nope.
And we pretty much need to get to some old school. If you want to bash someone, get you a little guy, get you a fullback in there. Whoever's the biggest back we got, put him in front of Moss or Benjamin. Put him in there and just run and just try to kill someone, and then cut off of him. But we need to get to the point where you don't see the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again. I'm watching a game and I'm like, oh, we're going to run over here. Where did we run? We ran over there. Oops, we're going to run here. Yep, where did we go? We went here. It was so predictable, and I'm not even in film.
Right.
What we're going to do.
Right.
Well, that's a good point, though, with the running. The fact that what percentage of the game did Reggie Gilliam play? I don't think he played at all.
He was out with COVID.
Oh, was because
out.
Okay, all right. So there was no fullback at all. If you're going to run up the middle like that with no trap or pull,
Patriots used their fullback.
Yeah, and look how successful they were.
See, what I saw, what frustrated me is I saw with the wind. What my mindset says is when the wind's to your back, we got to score 2 touchdowns. In the quarter that the wind is to our back, we got to score touchdowns. Evacuate from the runs. The ball isn't going to get caught up in the wind like it would if you're throwing into the wind. You're able to take more advantage of the field when you have the wind to your back. And just the fact that nothing changed, it's like they didn't change any schematical runs or passes with the wind at their back. And it's like, that's when they should have taken advantage of it. And I saw that it almost seemed like they were outcoached in the sense that they were almost doing, we know Mac Jones and the Patriots are going to come in and run. Let's do the same thing. Let's get away from our own game plan, what we usually do, and let's just do what they do and see if we can't waste some time.
It seems like it's safe and scared.
That's what I'm saying. They were outcoached because they're trying to.
And Belichick's a genius because of the fact that they went up 8-0. So in a game like that where it's windy and the weather's crazy, to get the lead is an advantage, big time, because now you can dictate a lot of stuff. And I think him being up 8-0, they might have changed the game plan if it was Bills leading. They might have passed it more, but Bill Belichick's like, okay, we still have the lead. Just keep running the ball. They're not doing anything.
And when they ran the ball, what did that do?
Tick tick.
Clock.
Well, and that's where, like, I'm not trying to rattle any cages, but Belichick is a genius.
He is, yeah.
And it's not so much that he's just like this crazy mind. It seems like he plays the fundamentals well. Like, he builds a team to win in the trenches. He plays a solid game plan. It's just like you were saying, Mark. This is what we do. We're going to do it until you can prove that you can stop us. Yep. And if you can't, we're going to run it right down your throat. And that's what he does. It's not like all these coaches, it seems like they try to put all these bells and whistles on these game plans they're just playing honest, good fundamental football for the most part, but they're executing. And that's what's so frustrating is, like, the guy comes in, you know what he's going to do, he does it, and then all of a sudden he's a genius. And it's like, yeah, he is, because he just did what he said he was going to do.
It's like we said in shows before, our old high school coach there, Mark, he always said, we'll tell them what 5 plays we're running. We'll tell them. And if we execute them, we're going to run them and run them and run them. We ran the option. We passed the ball maybe 3 times a game. And it was an option always left or right. They know what we're bringing. You got to stop us. And you're right.
Exactly.
So that's what, and if it works, it works.
Yeah.
Like the one thing that I would have loved to have seen more in this game, say in the running game. And yeah, you're going to need Josh, and Josh is going to run the ball and can run the ball. I would have liked to have seen QB counters. Okay. The only QB run that I seen that was designed was that quarterback draw. And that quarterback draw was just it was base blocking, and Josh got 5 yards on that play. But 5 yards is 5 yards. If you can average 5 yards a carry, you're doing good. Yeah. If you average 5 yards on your first down and 5 yards on your second down, guess what? It's first down.
You get another set of downs, right?
And I would have loved to have seen Josh on a quarterback counter, because on quarterback counters with Josh, we've been really successful with that, where it's anywhere from 5 to 15 yards, you know. So I would love to see more quarterback counters. I know you don't want to get them hurt and stuff like that, and you respect that part of it. But if you're going to use him as a part of your running game, you need to use him in the position where he's been most successful. Okay. And that's on some of your quarterback counters, on some of your quarterback reads, based on what the end is. If on a zone read, if he's going to dive, then Josh can go outside, you know. So when you have plays like that, it's like, let's utilize them. Let's get those in there. Let's do something that we know we can be productive at. And but when you can't just keep running dive option or speed option, or you just can't keep doing it. And what's the definition of insanity? Just doing
the same thing over
and not
expecting different results.
Anywhere. Yeah. And that's what I felt like we were kind of doing, offensively, because like I said, you've seen Josh throw the ball with the wind and against the wind, and he could throw the ball either way. The only problem I know you guys were talking about with the wind behind you, the only problem is then it's just your velocity and how you throw the ball on deep routes. It seems like, oh, yeah, it'd be great. But all of a sudden, Josh thinks he's throwing the ball 60 yards and the ball's traveling 65, 66, 67 yards because of that wind behind it, and it gets up there in it. It's just like we said about the one with Beasley on the sideline. That ball started out inside of Beasley, started out here, and then the next thing you know, it was over here when it got to Beasley. And I was just like, wow, And the wind in that stadium is absolutely ridiculous, because what people don't really realize is the road is up here.
Yeah.
Okay. And the stadium is down below.
Yep.
So it's not like it's below, so that wind's just all over the place. Yeah. And especially in the one corner. Oh my God.
The old swirl. Yeah. And I think I have it written down right here that I think the Bills learned a lot this game. The fact that doesn't matter really anymore what the elements are. Josh Allen can throw the ball in the wind. Yes. But also another factor that plays, it's easy. The receivers have to catch the ball. And when the ball's in the air, Diggs, that drop touchdown pass, hit him in the arms. He still has to adjust to that ball, even though Allen put it on him. It might have not been on him. And then all of a sudden it is. So it's the full game, both ends of it. Everything has to go in, the right direction for things to work, and the wind can play a factor anywhere.
What I think on that Diggs pass is that, at first he was expecting it to be over his outside, and as he looked, he's like, oh wait, it's not over my outside. He looks back on the inside and he sees it, but when he sees it on the inside again, where does that ball go? It goes back to the outside, right? Yeah. And so now he's like, oh crap, I got to turn around. Now he's looking back this way, and the ball looks like it's going longer, but then all of a sudden the ball just drops right on his arm. So that wind is so powerful, Yeah, you wished he could have adjusted on that and got his hands back here, but he thought that ball was out here, and then as he's here, that ball comes and just hits him right there.
Right.
And that was the win. Nothing but win. And those are the kind of things that you have to be able to anticipate. That's why I said, how much have they practiced in that?
Right.
I think with the rest of the season, they're going to start noticing that, oh, crap, remember when this happened, this is what we really have to think about going down here at that side. So when you see that ball may start out inside, but just know Josh would be like, listen, I'm going to start it inside, but it's going to end up outside. Okay. Right. And don't forget, it kind of takes a hard dive with the wind in that corner. So be expecting it to fall a little bit shorter than what it looks like. So those are things that they're going to realize. Those are things that they're going to talk about and, adjust to. But like I said, if you're not practicing out in that, throwing balls like that, on full plays, you're never going to know.
Yeah. Guys, imagine going out there and playing catch, and Allen's telling you that. It's going to start inside. It's going to dip up, down, left, and right. Adjust.
It'll goose you.
Right? Can you imagine that? Now it's an NFL player. You're like, okay, so I had the good, the bad, and the ugly. The bad, obviously, is execution. We've already went over that. I'm going to go right to the good. Who usually busts my balls? Buffalo, Spartan, about looking up notes. I have some notes here. The Bills defense ranks. We're still number one in yards per game total at 272. We're number 1 passing yards per game at 165. We're number 12 at rushing against, and that's 107.1. But we're number 2 scoring defense in the league with 16.3. So our defense is still the better defenses in the league. We can go back and talk about that one run that, skewed those numbers about the average for this past game. It would have been less if that wasn't there, but you can't really do that. We could talk about it, but it already happened, so you really can't say anything. The Bills defense had 4 3-and-outs. They had 3 plays with a long run. They had 9 plays with a field goal. They had 1 4-and-out, 1 5-and-out. They had a 14-play field goal, and then at the end of the game, the New England Patriots ran out the clock with a weird malfunction of everything there. And that's a referee thing. We won't go there. I thought we were going to have 30 seconds left before the game ended to try something, but for some reason that ran out.
My favorite commentator quote from last night was when that guy on the Patriots went down, and he said, weird turn of events. He seemed fine when he was celebrating after the stop, and I was like, what is this? The 70s Raiders right now?
That last drive when the Bills were driving, there were so many delays. I texted these guys, Mark, saying, "Here they go. Here goes the headphone malfunction like where they have at Foxborough all the time. All of a sudden, these refs are talking about things. The chain crew had a communication issue. The guy that just made a good play now is injured and taking time off. I was like, they're killing our momentum. Here they go. Bill Belichick. They're the Patriots. Come on."
Yeah.
And the ugly for me were, we'll get to the Tampa Bay game pretty quick here, but the fans busting on the D, and the fans everywhere on social media, especially in Bills Mafia group, they hate the Buffalo Bills when they lose. We're such a passionate fan group that when we lose one game, it's like, nope, we're done. We suck. It's over with. And it's like, for me, I saw a lot of good in this game, even though we didn't come out on top with a win. And there's room to grow. We have 5 games left. We're at 7-5. We have Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then we have New England again. We're nowhere near out of the AFC East race, right? New England has a bye, so they're going to be 8 and they're 9-4. If the Bills win this week, we'll be 8-5, and then we'll play the Atlanta Falcons. New England has another tough game, and then we'll match up again. And that next matchup with New England could be again for the AFC East division.
Yes.
So,
I agree.
A lot of football still left. All right, gosh, man. Hate talking about them Patriots and them beating us. All right, so Buffalo Bills next game is Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Scott, what are your thoughts on that game with Tom Brady down there?
It's going to be one of those. The Buccaneers don't have that great of a running game. They're 25th ranked. Although they do have Leonard Fournette, tough running back. He's going to be another tough running back that we're facing. But as far as yards, they don't get that many yards rushing. Ronald Jones might be injured, so that might be a blessing in disguise. The thing that worries me about that game is that Tom Brady is the number 1 passer in the league. They got the number 1 pass offense with Evans, Godwin, Gronkowski, and without Trey White being there, that might be a little bit of a challenge for Frazier. It's nice weather. I just looked at the weather report, 75 and sunny. None of that snow, blizzardly winds, but it'll be. I'm excited for it. Brady's only been sacked like 12 times, 14 times, which is crazy to me. But when you
14.
understand how the system works, they're there to protect Brady. Mark could probably agree with me on that one.
Yes,
14 sacks, the number 1 passing team in the league, and the quarterback only gets hit once a game, tackled for a sack once a game. That's crazy to me. But I think the Bills defense might actually benefit from this because they're not a sacking team. They're more of a, create turnovers and create some distractions. So this is one of those games where I'm not going to push heavy. We got to get sacks. I think we play our defense will be okay, but it's going to be a great challenge for Levi Walls, Taron Johnson, and Dane Jackson for sure. Offensively, we play a tough front 7, very tough front 7. They run a 3-4 defense. Vita Vea is their defensive nose guard, 0 technique, 1 technique, but the linebackers are pretty solid with Jason Pierre, whatever his I can't remember his Paul Pierre.
Jason Pierre-Paul.
Yeah, Levante Davis, they got good linebackers. Their secondary is hurting, though. So this will be a game where I think offensively it might be a pass. It'll be a high-scoring game. But
quick question for you. I got a quick question for you. Sorry to cut you off, Scott. But when somebody says something like newspaper writings, does that motivate the team a little bit? Like if you post something that somebody says negative about the team, does that really get players going?
the thing that gets players going when it comes to something like that is when it's not from the media or anything like that, but it's from when a player says something,
Okay.
and it gets caught and captured, and you get it. That would be your fuel. They say, oh, well, they're not this good here, da 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 da, and it's in a paper. You get that article. Someone will show you that article, and you're like, okay, we're going to show them how good we're not.
Okay.
That will light the fire. But when the media says stuff, it's like you take it with a grain of salt. Like if you listen to what they said about Belichick, and because I was flipping through a couple of channels because my stream would pause on one and I didn't want to miss any plays, and I had to go see those yahoos flipping Manning boys because it was a little bit delayed, and I had to watch. I mean, that's like worthless TV right there. I mean, absolutely worthless. I'd rather just watch the game in silence with like black and white, where it's just like this here the whole time, instead of hearing them run their mouth. They talk like they got marbles in their throat. They don't know how to say it,
Omaha.
Yeah. And I'm just like, oh my God, look,
don't hold anything back.
Don't get me going. So, you could care less about what the media is saying, but if a player says something about it and it was captured, you feed off of that. You get that extra fuel off of that. And I know you were talking about Tampa Bay and the run game and stuff like that. Fournette had a great game last week, I think it was, where he had 4 touchdowns or something like that.
Nice catch too. Nice catch.
Yeah. But here's going to be the thing. He's a bigger back, like a Travis Henry. Okay. You're going to look at Aaron's, because Aaron's was here in Arizona. A good coach is going to see what your weakness has been, and he's going to try to exploit that. He's not going to change. Aaron's isn't going to change up their offensive game plan, but I can guarantee you that game plan is going to be sprinkled with more counters, more sweeps and stuff like that, and toss outside until the Bills can get it corrected. And they're going to run those types of plays. They're going to be incorporated into their game plan. And until we stop it, we're going to continue to see it. And a lot of teams are going to do that because that's what they do. They exploit your weakness, and that's why they watch game film all week. That's why today is Tuesday, day off for the players. That's the reason the coaches are over there all week or all day today. They may go home tonight or they may not go home tonight, but they will be there until midnight, at least watching film, looking at what is, good, what's bad, how to exploit this team and things like that. So until we stop that run and we stop overrunning, which I think is going to be a little bit easier against Tampa Bay because we're not going to have 10 men up around the line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay. So we're going to have those guys up front, that front 7 better play, they better play to their capabilities. They don't want to, overextend themselves and things like that. Like I was telling you guys, I was watching Milano and Tremaine, and I just wasn't, as a linebacker and me being a smaller, undersized linebacker when I was playing at like a little over 230, I didn't care if he weighed 350 pounds. He was going to know who I was.
Right. Yep.
I'm not going to run around you. I'm not going to try to avoid you. I'm going to bust you right in the jaw. You're going to hit me, I'm going to hit you, plain and simple. It's not going to be anything other than that. It's me against you. I'm going to control my gap and get in my gap. But you're going to know who hit you. I'm not running around, okay?
Right. Anybody else feel like Mark's talking to you directly? I'm kind of getting nervous.
Yeah, I'm seriously.
He likes us. He likes us.
I'm going to bust you in the jaw.
Yep.
You say hi?
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
I can't hear.
She said good.
Good. You're right, though. As a linebacker, you're there to make a statement, not run around people or try to avoid shoulders. You want to hit somebody in the mouth. Yeah. So every time you come up to fill in, to seal me off or to do that, you want to put your right. You want to hit them. I'm here all day.
Yeah, and I mean, and that I felt we didn't do as linebackers. And like I said, that's what I watch. And if I was the coach, I'll be like in meetings, I'm like, no, this is not acceptable. Mm-hmm. This is not acceptable. You go and you blast him. You blast him because he's moving sideways. You're going to knock him off his feet. Okay? Mm-hmm. You're now going to do what they're doing to us. You're going to take that one guy who's supposed to be blocking us and cutting off someone else. So now you're taking out two of their guys with one of our guys, freeing up someone, or you're making the play. And so, plain and simple.
If you knock him off balance, you may push him right into the running back. You may push him into the running back's gap. You know, that's.
But like you said, the fourth quarter adjustment with Milano on those last two plays in that game, that should have been made before. When you know that they have someone cutting back and you're always overrunning and we're overrunning, hey, if your guard pulls, shoot that gap. Boom. Plain and simple.
Go with him.
When I'm coaching in high school, when we had our kids doing that, that's the first thing that I told our kids. He's pulling and they're getting over there, shoot the gap.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
That's what our linebackers coach used to say, shoot the gap. And then also, it's easier to defeat half a man than a full man. So put your pads on him, get in their face, and hit half the body before he can square up on you.
Thank you.
That. Yeah. So it's awesome.
Yep.
Swank, what are your thoughts about Tampa Bay?
I'm going to tell you, like, I think this is a huge opportunity to bounce back, improve something, you know?
Yeah.
This could be more of our kind of game. You know, you obviously can't blame it on the weather. They got a depleted cornerback core, so if you're looking for that air out, shootout kind of game, I think this is what you're going to get. I want to see this, like, Dable exciting offense that I think has been pitched to us for like the last 4 years. I want to see consistency. I want to see, like, you know, we had people making excuses saying like they're saving it for the end and they're you know, they're hiding stuff until December and all that stuff. Like, I want to see it, you know. If they're saving something, I want to see it all right now, because this is for seeding. This is for even getting into the playoffs.
We're seventh right now, Swank.
Yeah. So let's go, man. I mean, this should be balls to the wall, get it. So I'm expecting a big productive day from the offense. Yeah. Defensively, I mean, they got to have the best showing of the season, right? They've been playing solid all season, but no Trey White, like you mentioned. Levi's got to step up huge. I think this has been his best season as a professional football player.
Agree.
I think Dane Jackson, like I said, he held his own in a predominantly run game offense that they went against on a windy Monday night, but he's gonna have to prove it. I think you're gonna see a lot of Poyer and Micah again, getting back to what they do, and
they may have a spark this week.
That's what I was saying. That's why I asked Mark if the media plays any part, because those guys back there who are often not appreciated as much as Bills fans appreciate them, they're not given the quality of safety tandems that they deserve. Now they have some guy saying that, are you guys embarrassed? And Hyde comes out and says, don't disrespect us. I think that's going to get those two captains going. Like, this isn't going to happen anymore. That's
I mean, it's one of those things where I don't think that the comment like Jerry Sullivan made is really going to hype them up, okay? Because they know what they did on that football field. They know. I'm going to tell you right now, when you come off that football field after a win or a loss, you know what you did good, you know what you did bad, and you're going to try to figure out how to correct it, okay? And whatever you did good, you want to figure out how to make it better. And so, like I said, I told someone, I said, I listened to the full comment that Sullivan made, and part of it was a legit of what he was talking about. But to throw out the microaggression of being embarrassed was uncalled for. It was unnecessary. A good reporter should ask you about things that happened during the game, good or bad, things that happened. If you got scored on, what happened, what went wrong, or what looked like went wrong, so you can explain it and you can talk about it. But not to say that, in 40 years, there's been, only, a team that's run the ball that many times and only passed 3 times and won. How do you feel, about that outcome? Ask them about how did they feel about that outcome, instead of using the microaggression and saying, are you embarrassed? So basically you're telling me I should be embarrassed? You need to go jump in a lake right now before I rip your throat out, is what I probably would have said. So, those guys handled it quite well. because
so.
that was not the right thing to say at that point in time. These guys, and I told people, I said, you guys look at this. I look at every little detail of what goes into what they're saying and how they're talking. Poyer started talking about what we gave up one touchdown and what the field goal, and you can see them trying to figure out what the score was because they didn't care about the score. They knew they lost, and that was the only thing that mattered to them is that they had lost. And, you know, for them at that point in time, for you to say being embarrassed when we just played and held the team to under 200 and, because what was it, 241 yards or something they had?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, held a team to under 250 yards. You hold a team to under 250 yards, you should win, you know, in the NFL. Plain and simple. And but they had every right to be pissed off at him for asking that type of question because he could have asked him that question in such a different manner. And for those guys just coming off the field and going in there and then told that they should be embarrassed about their play, come on, seriously. We lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. I was part of 3 of them. If you asked me if I was embarrassed about losing 3 in a row, yeah.
Especially after the games, right?
Right after the game? Come on. You just played the biggest game of your life. And these guys, and I know it was like this when we played, and I'm pretty sure it's still the same way. It doesn't matter if it's a preseason game. You know, when you're out there, you want to compete. You do not want to lose. And I don't care if it's a regular season game, it's the same thing. You compete, you do not want to lose. You're putting everything into it. You know, for a week, you sit and you do nothing, but you study the New England Patriots. You go home, you're watching film at home. You go back to work, you're watching film at work. You do practice, you come back from practice, you work out. Then you're watching more film of your practice and what you did and how you do and correct things, and you watch more film of the Patriots, and then you go home and you watch more film. These guys are diving into each week with one purpose, to win and to focus in the study to get the key to their opponent. Okay? Yeah, you look at that Indianapolis game where we got blown out. Should we have been embarrassed? No. We did everything we could. Those guys worked just as hard in that game as they did in this game. So, you know, it's like one of those things that it's just like, it has me riled up, as you can tell.
Yeah.
Okay? Because I know what these guys are going through. I know what it's like to come off the field after a loss and you put everything into it. For someone to say being embarrassed, are you serious? At that point in time, no. You cannot ask that guy that question like that. You know, you can ask him that question, but in a different way. You know, and I feel that's what they should have did. What it's done is it pissed them off towards the media, is what it did. But guess what? They don't play the media on Sunday or Monday night. They're going to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that's where their focus is going to go. After they went in today and yesterday and reviewed film, and that's it. Those Patriots are over and done with. They can care less about that game. It's a loss, and so what? We chalk it up as a loss. We move on to the next opponent the next week. You know, and like I said, I was fortunate because when I came from, you know, Buffalo to Arizona, you know, we had winning years. So I didn't know what it was like, you know, losing on a weekly basis, you know, and going 3-13, you know, my last year. But we still worked every week, you know, every week, whether we won or lost, to move on, to get better and focus our sights on our next opponent, not looking in the rear view mirror. Okay. It's always about moving forward and on to the next thing. And those guys they're going to do that. But I'm pretty sure when they see Jerry Sullivan and some of the things after practice, they're going to be pissed off or be like, you know, get out of my face.
Micah High said, we'll remember this. We'll remember this. So.
Guys, it's all perspective. As fans, and you say this the end of the season, this player sucks, all this stuff, it's perspective. These NFL players it's not just 3 hours of their week that they're dedicating to. It's more hours in a week that anybody ever works. And I'm not saying any job's more important, but I work 40 hours a week. Guarantee these guys are working 20 hours in a 24-hour day, studying, working out. It's not just 3 hours. It's not an embarrassed 3 hours. That's 7 days of preparation. How dare you say, are you embarrassed for what you've done? I put my heart and soul into this for 7 straight days to come out and then to lose, it hurts. Don't come at me like that. Don't come at me like that.
Your whole life, right? Like, I
mean, your whole life.
Less than 1% of high school players make it to college, right? Less than 1% of college players make it to the NFL. You're talking about this exclusive club of like a small percentile of people that are A, gifted, B, talented, and C, lucky enough to make it to the NFL. And if I'm talking out of school right now, you tell me, Mark, because these are observations.
Oh no, it's the 1%, and it's hard to make it. And a lot of people, like you said about the hours and stuff like that. The only day you get one day off during the season, and that's Tuesday. Tuesday is the day off. Tuesday is when guys who have injuries, they usually go over and get stuff like that. Some guys still go over, work out, watch film on their own. Okay, and if they don't
watch the K-Gun report.
Or watch the or they go home and they're watching film at home on Tuesday. All these guys have some sort of projector in their home where they're watching film, plain and simple. Okay, when I was here, my last year's here, 8:00. We're at the stadium about 7. I think it was like 7:30. We're over at 7:30, and we're here from 7:30, and we finally leave about 3:00, 3:30. You go home, you usually eat, do what you want to do if you have a little extra stuff. Then you find time to watch more film. Okay? So you're already going from 7:00 in the morning to 3:00 in the afternoon. You got your 8 hours in. Okay? Then you're going to go home and you're going to do something else. Okay? And some guys go over earlier and work out before practice. And, it's just one of those things you cannot put how much time you couldn't equate how much time is put in for these guys in a given week on an opponent. And for people to say that they suck and stuff like that, I'd like to see you try to tackle Travis Henry, okay, at 200. I got a picture of me tackling the bus, and I give the picture out, and I give this picture out because the bus is running me over.
He's big,
okay? Okay. But I tell people when they say something about it, I'm like, looks like I'm getting run over here. And they're like, yeah, I'm like, I am. But what that picture doesn't show you is it was a screenplay. I had to fight through 2 linemen, offensive linemen, to get to him. When I get to him, there's a guy pushing me on the side, and I'm coming in off balance, okay? And as I come in off balance, of course, I don't have any momentum because I'm off balance. He has momentum, and he's going, and they're on like the 6-yard line or something like that. I'm still fighting, and I finally get control of him and punch the ball out. Touchback. Okay?
Right, there you go.
So even though it looks like you're losing, I didn't lose that battle. I won that battle. But that picture doesn't really say that. But that's what people don't look at. People look at, oh, he got run over by the bus. But did the bus score? No. Did we get the ball back? Yes. So thank you. Okay? You don't see the whole picture.
Did you see the other 3 battles you had to go to just to get there?
Exactly. And that's what they don't understand. And that's why it's like I watch these guys. Like that's why I said I grade the linebackers and stuff like that. Stick with what I know. And I look at my defensive linemen to make sure they're helping out too. Okay? And that's the thing, like I said, this week that I think that we really have to focus on with Tremaine and with Milano is that they have to get physical. They have to get that physical. When I'm going to tell you right now, when Tremaine gets physical, he gets stronger.
Yeah, you see it.
And more physical as a linebacker, he is going to be a beast. I mean, he should be unstoppable.
Oh, yeah.
With his size and his speed. Like, look at Cornelius Bennett. He was a beast, size and speed-wise. He played inside and outside linebacker. Yeah, no. Tremaine he's an athlete. He will be great. I mean, great. But I want to see him more physical.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because he showed spurts of it. As he's a young kid, he showed spurts of it. And going back to, we mentioned about Allen running the ball. That one run that Allen had that he wanted to run, that he knew he had to, he ran it differently than he did the whole game. Remember that long run that he had where he cut across the field? You watch him when he ran that ball, he had a fire under his ass, and he did it.
Well, you're talking about on that scramble when he had that scramble
near the end of the game.
Yeah,
where you could tell it was like that's why people are asking for why isn't Allen running as much anymore. He's just like me. You gotta look at the notes. But you know what I'm saying? Tremaine Edmonds shows that
he had 21 yards on that scramble. And
when they get that fire under their ass,
it looked like a different run.
It was a different run because he knew he had to get there. Tremaine Edmonds, when he has that fire on his butt, he can make those plays, and he does. He just has to be consistent.
He popped Henry in that Titans game on the sideline.
Oh yeah,
and you
heard it was like,
you heard it. He hit him right in the chest, and I've never seen Derrick Henry get cracked like that in his whole career.
Yep.
And Tremaine,
that's why I said,
yeah,
he has all the ability. I think as he gets older and his body matures and he gets stronger, he will be that beast that I know he can be.
Yeah, he's still young. He's got a long ways to go.
He just needs that taste one time, and then you'll look what you can do. You can do this every time. Do it. All right, guys, want to do some score predictions, bowl prediction, X Factor quick?
Oh yeah, let's
Bills
do
Tampa
it.
Bay game. Mark, I'm gonna let you lead the way. Bills are traveling down. Gonna play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What is your score prediction, bold prediction, and X Factor?
Oh, bowl prediction?
Yeah, throw out a crazy number like Josh Allen's going to throw 750 yards. We go bold.
Okay.
Something crazy so we can write it down.
Bold prediction. I'm like, why are we doing bowl predictions here? This is like,
bowl predictions.
Notre Dame versus.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm like. Wait
for the Rose Bowl. What's your prediction?
The game, I think. See, it seems like for some reason, the games that are, in our favor, we've just been kind of like mediocre, where we haven't really did what we're supposed to do. We just been flat. Mm-hmm. But we get against those teams where it's like, oh, it should be different. And then all of a sudden we're putting up 40 points, and stuff like that. I think this game against Tampa Bay, I think it will be a pretty good game. I think it'll be pretty good scoring because we do play a lot better on the road, it seems like, lately. And we have been playing really good. Our defenses, I have no issues with our defense, but with Brady, and his caliber of how he is and stuff like that, that I think that I'm looking for a pretty high scoring game. I'm going to say an over under, I'm going to say it's going to be under 56, and I'm going to say it's probably going to be like 31 like 24-27 in favor of the Bills.
Okay.
And
is that what it's at right now? 56? Is it at 56?
I have no clue. I don't even. Someone would ask me how to bet against the spread, and I'll be like, I don't know.
It is now.
Bills win.
I'm like over under. It's like when you see when they show like plus 2.5 or minus 3 or something like that. I'm like, I have no clue what that means. Who gets 3? Who doesn't get 3? What team gets this and what team doesn't get that?
Yeah.
I'm just like, listen. I just think I know who's going to win.
Can I bet it straight? Yeah, can I bet straight?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's one reason I don't bet. My bold prediction is I think we're going to run the ball, hopefully well. That's my goal, or that's what I would like to see. And I'd go bold and say Singletary will have a 100-yard game.
Oh, I like that.
And what was my other thing?
X Factor.
Was there a third thing?
What's going to be the most important part of the game that's going to, like, it could be a pick six that turns it, or
could be a matchup. Your defensive line versus your offensive line.
It could be Dayball plays well.
I think the X factor is actually going to be the DBs versus the receivers and how well they play.
I have that, damn it.
Listen, don't fall for this stuff, Mark, because Jarrod waits for somebody to say something and then he claims it. So
that's weird, Mark. I was going to say the same exact thing about that 5-2.
Great minds think alike. So the DBs versus the receivers, that's going to be a good one. Yeah, that will be. Perfect. Scott, why don't you go next?
I'll go fast. I think it's a 28-17 game. 28-17. My bold prediction is a flustered Brady. I think we get 4 turnovers, maybe a couple picks and maybe a strip sack fumble kind of thing. My X factor, I'm right with you, Mark and Jarrod, it's Levi Wallace, Taron Johnson, Dane Jackson versus Godwin, Evans, Gronkowski. That's going to be the big thing. I would say line, but like I said earlier, our line isn't built for sacks. It's built to just create pressure and make people frustrated. So if we can create a little havoc, then I think that defensive back versus wide receiver is the way to go. X factor.
X factor. Like it.
Nice.
3 for 3. Swank, what are you doing?
I'm going with a Big Bills win. I'm going to go just a little under you guys and say it's going to be 27-17.
27. I win money if you hit 27. 27
right,
clubs.
good.
Like
well, then that's why I said it.
Good.
Right now the line is, and I just learned this recently, Mark, so don't feel bad about it, but Tampa's plus 2.5 points. So if they win, if you bet the Bills, or wait, no, if you bet Tampa, this is a really good explanation.
They got to win by
more
more
by at least 2.5 points.
So they got to win by a field goal, basically.
Exactly.
Yep. Okay.
And
so
I
if you
guess,
pick the Bills, it's straight.
The way that Las Vegas goes is you automatically get +2 if you're the home team, and then they put everything else weighted on it after that. So anyway, my bold prediction is that they're going to let Josh call the game. What? That's my bold prediction. They're going to let him run his game, feel the field out, make the throws the way he did last year, have a little fun, get a little loose, maybe, throw for like 300+ yards down in Tampa on that beautiful Sunday 4:00 afternoon game.
Dayball misses the flight.
Yeah,
he's stuck in Buffalo.
Got a flat.
Hey guys, this will be a nice Josh Allen versus Tom Brady, the kind of matchup you wanted to see. Josh Allen was a rookie last time he played him, I believe, and so he's more mature. So yeah.
And Josh has been chomping at the bit. That's one of those things that he brings up every once in a while that he never got a chance to beat him. So, my X factor, however, is going to be Mr. Matt Milano lining up against Mr. Rob Gronkowski.
Gronk.
And I think he's going to keep him from scoring a touchdown the whole game. So Matt Milano plays a good game. Gronk gets nothing.
Zilch. I like that because Gronk's obviously a scary tight end because he scored 2 last week.
Yeah, he's old.
Gronk,
old but productive.
Yeah.
Gronk's he's allowed to push off like crazy still. I can't get over it. Don't get me started. Go.
Okay, go. Score prediction 24-17 Buffalo Bills. My bold prediction is going to be Isaiah McKenzie returns as kick returner. And he gets one. He gets one. X factor, as we already said, secondary versus the receivers. I have a couple extra notes here that if the Buffalo Bills travel down to Tampa Bay and they win, that's a big confidence booster for a Bills team versus Brady. And it's also a big confidence booster for a Bills team versus last year's Super Bowl winner. So this is a big game for confidence. And I got a feeling this is going to be where they start clicking to make their run. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
All right, Scott, before we head out here, actually, no, Mr. Mark Maddox, you can do it a little bit more. Let us know about Help One Foundation quick.
All right, Help One Foundation right now is doing a Christmas drive for low-income families that have a child with special needs. So we give toys and clothes and shoes to all the kids in the family. We have wish lists that I'll give you guys set up on Amazon that and I'll also send the prizes that we have for entries for if you buy a gift. And if you buy one of the bigger ticket items, because we have a couple kids want hoverboards that are like a little over $100, they buy bigger ticket items like that, they will get extra entries also based on that. But we're doing it in 5 states where we're helping kids in Buffalo, Rochester, South Carolina, Florida, and Arizona. So we're doing it big, and we're going to bring smiles to kids' faces. That's what we're doing now.
Nice.
Very cool. And I want to remind people, you can also donate to the Help One Foundation on our page. You'll see it on a pinned post on our Facebook page. The little donation button's right there. Donate anything, share, love, spread the word, share with your friends. Get the word out there because awareness is huge. And thank you already for your participation. We already have some people donating.
Awesome.
Perfect. All right, let's close it out. Closing thoughts really quick. Scott, want to lead the way with a closing thought?
Don't give up hope, Bills fans. We're 7th seed right now. That means there's 9 other teams out there that aren't in a seed. You know what? You want to blame our defense? Our defense is playing great, still number 1. You want to blame our offense? We have 5 more games to figure stuff out. It's a game of inches. It's a game of adjustments, and we have the opportunity. The end of our schedule doesn't look very bad at all with the Falcons and the Jets and the Panthers. I know you can't look ahead, but don't give up on your team just because of a loss like it was. There's wind that played a factor. There was a mediocre team beat a good team because of bad weather and mediocre football. So sometimes those games happen. Take 24 hours. 24 hours is already up. It's on to the Buccaneers. You're going to be cheering loud like you always are. You can hate on them for a little bit. We're all entitled to that, but the Bills fans, you're out there to make some noise, and we expect that, and we know it's going to happen. Time to get over it.
Because the players and coaches are over it, right? They're done.
They're over, man.
Been over.
Don't let that ruin you. Mark, closing thoughts.
My closing thoughts is that this was a great session. We got a lot of things in that we talked about with the team, talked about for the team, and it's like Scott said, it's one of those things where you just can't give up because of a loss. It's the NFL, and any team can win on any given Sunday. And when you have a team with the talent on it that we have, you have no reason to give up any faith. You just have to believe. And after a loss, the best thing is to look at the good, look at the bad, improve on it, and move on. Because I can guarantee you that's what the guys are doing. They could care less about what other people are saying, and it's about what we do. Let's correct ourselves. Let's move on so we can get better. And they will do that every week. 24 hours after the game is over, after those guys go in and watch film on Monday and leave on Monday, that game is over. Everything about New England is over and done with. They will not bring New England up again until we play them in a few weeks. Other than that, that's it. They're done. And that's why I feel that, my closing thoughts is let's just move on, because guess what? We got to now look to Tampa Bay. Can't be dwelling on the past when you have something else in front of you.
Mm-hmm. And what's in front of you can be big if you focus. Swank. Aaron, and go.
Mark, man, it's so great to have you on every time.
Absolutely.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome anytime, and your insight's great. Everybody loves having you here, and thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
My final thought here tonight is remember where we were, Bills fans. There were 17 years of dark times. So 7-5 ain't that bad. We're still in the playoff seeding, and we got a big game this Sunday. So there it is.
Yep.
Also, if you want to join us on the K-Gun Report, you can do so every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. You can also catch up on episodes. I just caught them all up, by the way, on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify if you enjoy the audio. And don't forget to follow us on social media. Don't forget to follow the Help One Foundation on social media. And you know what? Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Absolutely. Mark, like Swank said, anytime you want to come back, just throw us a messenger. We'll get you on, and we'll talk football. And again, that was problem. So insightful. It was awesome. Buffalo Bills are going to be playing a 4:25 football game this Sunday. Hang out with your family, do family stuff, enjoy the day. And then when it's time, sit down, have a tea, have a coffee, have a beer, have a wine, do whatever you want to do. Enjoy the game. Be positive. I know there's a lot of banter that goes back and forth between fans. Everyone has their right to their opinion. But at the end of the day, let's get it all out, vent it out, and then it's on to the next one. And things can be huge for this Bills team if you just believe. All right.
Did you get the okay to say that?
I don't know. Copyrights.
Oh, my God.
All right, guys. Great show. I hope to see you guys Tuesday as we're talking about 8-4 Buffalo Bills record. 8-4, 8-5, 8-5. Just a reminder, the AFC East is still up for grabs. Just a reminder, it's just there. Grasp. See everybody next Tuesday. Go Bills.
Thanks, Mark. Go Bills.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
This is a dangerous group